There was a time when Friday nights meant one thing: a trip to Blockbuster. Families piled into cars, walked through those blue and yellow doors, and wandered aisles filled with VHS tapes, DVDs, and video games. The smell of popcorn and candy lingered near the checkout counter, and the anticipation of choosing a movie created a ritual millions cherished. At its peak, Blockbuster was more than a store. It was an experience, a cultural icon. But within a decade, this empire crumbled. From thousands of stores across the globe to a single surviving location in Bend, Oregon, Blockbuster's fall remains one of the most dramatic business collapses of the modern era. Everyone knows Netflix had something to do with it, but the untold story reveals a mix of arrogance, missed opportunities, and strategic blunders that sealed Blockbuster's fate. The rise of a giant Blockbuster was founded in 1985 by David Cook in Dallas, Texas. Unlike local mom-and-pop video stores, Blockbuster was designed to be a corporate powerhouse. Instead of just a few dozen titles, it offered thousands of tapes, neatly organized and easy to browse. Cook applied computer systems to manage inventory and track rentals, ensuring popular titles were always in stock. Customers loved it, and investors noticed. Within just 2 years, Blockbuster expanded rapidly, catching the attention of entrepreneur Wayne Huizenga, who bought a controlling interest in 1987. Huizenga, who had already built Waste Management into a giant, applied the same aggressive strategy: grow fast, dominate the market, and buy out competitors. By the early 1990s, Blockbuster was opening a new store every 24 hours. By the late 1990s, it had over 9,000 locations worldwide and generated billions in revenue. For many people, Blockbuster wasn't just the biggest video rental chain, it was the only one that mattered. Friday nights, date nights, sleepovers all revolved around those blue VHS cases. The company's dominance seemed unstoppable. But behind the shelves of movies, cracks were beginning to form. The business model problem. Blockbuster's revenue relied heavily on one thing: late fees. Customers who didn't return their rentals on time were hit with hefty charges, which became a significant chunk of the company's profits. At one point, late fees contributed an estimated $800 million annually to Blockbuster's bottom line. This created resentment among customers, but because Blockbuster had little competition, people tolerated it. Still, this reliance on penalties was a dangerous sign. It meant that Blockbuster was making money not just by delivering value, but by punishing its customers. That's rarely a sustainable business model. Enter Netflix. In 1997, a small startup emerged with a radical idea. Instead of driving to a store, why not rent DVDs through the mail? Customers could browse an online catalog, get discs delivered to their homes, and return them by mail. No late fees, no stress. This was Netflix. At first, Netflix was tiny compared to Blockbuster. The internet was still new and DVDs were not yet mainstream. But by the early 2000s, as broadband spread and DVDs replaced VHS tapes, Netflix began to grow. Its subscription model was revolutionary. For a flat monthly fee, customers could rent as many movies as they wanted. No due dates, no penalties. Blockbuster noticed, but dismissed Netflix as insignificant. After all, Blockbuster had millions of loyal customers, thousands of stores, and brand recognition across the world. How could a niche mail-order service threaten such a giant? In 2000, Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings actually approached Blockbuster with a proposal. Let Netflix run Blockbuster's online service while Blockbuster promoted Netflix in its stores. The asking price? $50 million. Blockbuster laughed them out of the room. That single decision has gone down as one of the biggest missed opportunities in business history. Strategic missteps. The Netflix offer wasn't Blockbuster's only mistake. The company also failed to adapt to shifting consumer habits. By the early 2000s, customers were growing frustrated with late fees. Competitors like Redbox began offering DVD rentals for $1 a night from vending machines located outside grocery stores and pharmacies. Redbox was cheaper, more convenient, and quickly gained traction. Meanwhile, Netflix continued to expand its subscriber base, preparing for the streaming revolution. Blockbuster tried to fight back, but always too late. In 2004, it finally eliminated late fees after years of customer backlash, but by then, its reputation had already been damaged. It also launched Blockbuster Online to compete with Netflix, but the service lagged behind in usability and innovation. The company was weighed down by thousands of physical stores, expensive leases, and operational costs, while Netflix had a lean, digital-first model. Another misstep was ownership changes. In 1994, media giant Viacom purchased Blockbuster for $8.4 billion, hoping to use it as a distribution arm for its content. But the partnership didn't deliver the expected synergies. By 2004, Viacom spun off Blockbuster, leaving it burdened with debt. Instead of focusing on innovation, Blockbuster was stuck trying to pay its bills and manage declining revenue. The streaming revolution. The final nail in the coffin was streaming. In 2007, Netflix introduced a new service: watch movies and shows instantly online. At first, the selection was limited, but the convenience was undeniable. Customers didn't have to wait for DVDs in the mail anymore. They could press play and watch immediately. As internet speeds improved and devices like smartphones, tablets, and smart TVs became common, streaming exploded. Netflix had positioned itself perfectly for this transition. Blockbuster tried to catch up by launching its own streaming platform, but by then it was too late. Customers associated streaming with Netflix, not Blockbuster. The company's massive physical footprint, once its greatest strength, had become a liability. Stores were closing, revenue was collapsing, and debt piled up. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy, officially ending its reign as the king of video rentals. The untold parts of the story. While most people blame Netflix for killing Blockbuster, the truth is more nuanced. Netflix didn't single-handedly destroy Blockbuster. It simply exposed the company's weaknesses. Blockbuster's downfall was rooted in arrogance, short-sighted leadership, and an inability to innovate. It relied too heavily on late fees, alienated its customers, and underestimated new competitors. Netflix offered what Blockbuster refused to: convenience, affordability, and freedom from penalties. There's also a cultural element to Blockbuster's collapse. For years, it symbolized a top-down corporate approach that prioritized profits over customer experience. People loved renting movies, but they hated late fees. They loved browsing the shelves, but they hated the inconvenience of driving to the store only to find the movie they wanted was out of stock. Netflix solved all of those pain points. In many ways, Netflix didn't kill Blockbuster. Customers did by choosing a better option. What could have been the irony is that Blockbuster actually had all the ingredients to dominate streaming. It had brand recognition, millions of loyal customers, relationships with Hollywood studios, and deep financial resources in its prime. If it had embraced Netflix's model early, or if it had innovated aggressively, it could have been the Netflix of today. But its leadership was too focused on protecting the traditional rental business. They saw streaming as a threat rather than an opportunity. By the time they changed course, the race was already lost. The last Blockbuster. Today, only one Blockbuster store remains open, in Bend, Oregon. It's become a tourist attraction, a living museum of nostalgia where people come not just to rent movies, but to remember what Blockbuster once was. For many, it represents a simpler time, walking through aisles, reading back covers, and debating with friends or family about which movie to pick. The survival of that single store is proof of how much emotional weight Blockbuster carried, even if the corporation itself collapsed. Lessons from Blockbuster's fall. The untold story of Blockbuster's collapse isn't just about a company that failed, it's about the dangers of complacency. No business, no matter how dominant, is safe from disruption. Blockbuster thought its size made it untouchable. But technology and consumer expectations changed, and Blockbuster didn't. Netflix listened to what people wanted, embraced new technology, and adapted quickly. Blockbuster ignored the signs and paid the price. For entrepreneurs and business leaders, the lesson is clear. Don't get too comfortable. Innovation never stops, and customer loyalty has limits. If you don't disrupt yourself, someone else will. So the next time you scroll through Netflix, Disney Plus, or any other streaming service, remember that the experience you're enjoying came at the expense of a giant that once ruled the movie world. Blockbuster's collapse wasn't inevitable. It was the result of choices, arrogance, and missed chances. The story isn't just about the death of a video rental chain, it's about the transformation of entertainment itself. Blockbuster taught us that businesses rise and fall not just because of competition, but because of their ability, or inability, to adapt. And that's the untold story of Blockbuster's collapse. A tale of a company that had everything it needed to survive, but chose the wrong path and became a relic of the past. Because in business, as in life, nostalgia doesn't pay the bills. Adaptation does.